Capitalism by its nature is cannibalistic. Extraction and exploitation are time period certain entities that ultimately collapse when there's nothing left to eat. I'm Roy Arthur. This is Unbelievable Reality Podcast. Thanks for joining. We're in the middle of the Iranian war, the undeclared, unapproved, technically illegal war that's been unleashed on the country of Iran with no provocation whatsoever. It's not like the Iranians have come over here and blew up a building. Those people we don't go to war with. Sit with that whole weird shit for a while. But one of the things that's really shocking me right now is that the average American has no understanding whatsoever of why there's actual conflict in Iran and what the United States did to the country of Iran. What kind of influence we had and why we had it. And it's a wave in the 50s after World War II, a corporate wave that the CIA was involved with in overthrowing governments to gain corporate access. In Iran, the CIA engineered, that just sounded like everybody else. The CIA engineered, well, it's kind of like that, they fucking did. I hate the word engineered, like so cool or something, fuck. They made a deal, they did a coup, and then we installed the Shah of Iran. And the Shah was the worst of the worst. But that was the model during that period of time, and that model literally goes back to the beginning of the United States of America, and even before then to the original colonization of North America, specific to the eastern seaboard. But back to Iran, 99% of people have no idea of what kind of influence, what kind of havoc, and how despised the United States is by that country. Because when we overthrew the elected president of Iran, I believe it was in 1953, and installed the Shah, the country just exploded, imploded. And that was all so that we could keep the contracts, the Exxon contracts, for their oil. Period, flat, period, the end. Terrible deal for the Iranians. We have total control over their oil. And after 19 years of the Shah's just complete disaster of running the country, that is when the Ayatollah Khomeini, the first one, Khomeini, not Khomeini, who was just recently assassinated, by the way, was reinstated from exile in Paris, in France. They brought him back after they overthrew what was left of the government and military after the Shah had to flee the country. We did that. And the installation of Ayatollah Khomeini as supreme leader. Now, you need to also understand, Americans don't understand this. The Shia religion, sect of the Muslim religion, he was their supreme leader. He was basically their pope. That's and for all across the world, all Shia practicing Muslims. That's what we just did. And that's what happened in the 70s is they brought Khomeini, who was at that time, once again, like the Pope, and they did a religious takeover, basically, itch in the eye. They did a religious takeover of the country, and the people of Iran were begging for it because it was the graft, the corruption, the theft, the assassinations, the murders during the Shah's regime how many thousands died. But average Americans have no knowledge whatsoever of our history with Iran. I didn't even get into Iran's importance and the Strait of Hormuz in World War II, how critical that was for the United States, for England, France, etc., fighting against the Axis powers. The American history in Persia goes back centuries. And our sphere of influence in the Middle East goes back a century and a half, easily. So without understanding that, how do you make sense of this war? Because in truth, the war is over bruised egos. I mean, just bruised. The U.S. government never forgot the overthrow of the Shah and the American hostage crisis that went on in Tehran for an entire year, that basically cost Jimmy Carter the election to Ronald Reagan, who is he of the trickle-down economics that you suffer from today. I'm not going to digress too much into the Republican realm, because that takes up years. But Iran is very strategic. Iran is huge. Iran is mountainous. There's 90 million people there. We've made a horrible mistake. But in the 50s, there was a revivalism in the United States of empire building, of colonialism. And we were the big boys on the block. We were the military giant. We were the world's first superpower. And we were dirty as fuck. But that has been American history. And the way it always works is that we've been always really good at getting a few people from whatever community, whatever indigenous community, whatever, to turn on the members of their own community and allow us access. Somehow, colonialism, which wouldn't survive without coercion, okay, direct coercion with local population and leaders, doesn't work if you don't have that, has been the tactic of colonialism for time immemorial. A lot of people, I keep saying a lot of people, so I'm going to stop doing that. Nobody really knows American history as it truly is. Nobody compares that history to events today. What's going on today, and why I'm switching gears a little bit from doing a series just purely on American history, early American history for the stupid, people like me that only learn shit by reading books. Speaking of which, my book read for today, Charles C. Mann. If you have the stones, you want to know about what's really amazing, the globalization that occurred after 1491, the tying together of the Asian markets to North America, South America, and the gold trade, and therefore tying that all back to Europe. How globalism really was in full swing in 1491. And once again, nobody knows that, nobody understands that, and nobody understands the implications of globalism even 550 years ago. Charles C. Mann, he wrote another one, 1493. He's got a couple other books that he's done that I highly recommend. The author, he knows his shit, he does his research, it's facts, period, the end, just facts. The United States of America is a capitalist country, and it's really, when they call it a grand experiment, it's absolutely correct. We are a grand experiment in capitalism. Here's the deal. Capitalism begins to erode a country when all moral objective has been lost, and that's the situation we're in today. And this isn't just an overnight thing. These people running our government now are relics of the past. They still think in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, the boom years, the golden era, which is complete horse shit, by the way, don't fall for it. They're the last of that generation of imperialism, okay? Imperialism and colonialism in the United States of America. How do you think these fucking companies got so big? Sidebar, have to throw this out. Right now, 500 individual companies are owned by 10 companies. 10 companies own 500, which goes to what that means is 10 companies control all of the products from all of those directly to us. That is a monopoly. Those are monopolies. And a piece of history that most Americans don't know as well, Teddy Roosevelt ran on a platform in the early 1900s to crush the monopolies, stop the monopolies. And those monopolies were Rothschild, J.P. Morgan, Henry Ford was on the chopping block there too. Pretty much every single wealthy East Coast family was part of that. And where I'm trying to go with this is Teddy Roosevelt ran on a platform to get rid of monopolies, and he did. He crushed them, and all the anti-monopoly laws were passed in the early 1900s. Today, in 2026, what's happening is that all those laws were repealed through corporate donations, finances, and flat-ass bribery, as well as murder, to institute what Teddy Roosevelt crashed 120 years ago. FDR, his cousin, who's president during World War II, which is what everybody in America, that's all they remember about FDR. They don't really understand the New Deal. They don't really understand the public works projects, etc. But that was also a way, and that led to the rebound after World War II in the American economy, where it literally just exploded and became the greatest economy ever. That was a lot. This is a lot. Corporations are running our government right now, and we are all paying the price for it. We're paying the price for monopolies. The Iranian situation is an absolute debacle. And a horrible decision, a horrendous decision. I'll leave you with this thought, and it's really imperialistic, is how this comes full circle. It's really a representation of our imperialistic past, when we could just exert our will on entire countries and they would have to succumb. And when empires fall, that's the first thing they lose, is the ability to force other countries to do their bidding. And empires fall throughout the course of history, American history. This experiment has failed 9 times already and somehow been resurrected in its newer form, which is where we are now. But once again, I'm Roy Arthur. It's Unbelievable Reality Podcast. My opinions are mine. If you don't like them, just don't fucking watch. Love, comments, and subscribe. Take care of you.